Artificial intelligence feels invisible. You type a prompt, a model answers. A company promises faster tools, smarter software, and a more productive economy. But the system behind it is not invisible. Somewhere, a data center is running. Thousands of servers are working day and night. They use electricity, they produce heat, and that heat has to be removed. In many places, removing it requires water. That is the part of the AI boom most Americans never see. Not a national water panic, not a conspiracy. A practical economic problem. The country is building the digital infrastructure of the future, and many of the physical costs fall on local communities. According to Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, U.S. data centers used about 176 terawatt-hours of electricity in 2023. By 2028, that could rise to between 325 and 580 terawatt-hours, depending on how fast AI grows and how these facilities are built. Most of the public debate has focused on the electric grid, but electricity and water are connected. Data centers can use water directly for cooling. They can also create an indirect water footprint through the power plants that generate the electricity they consume. So the AI boom is not only a story about chips, software, and electricity. It is also a story about pipes, reservoirs, cooling systems, utility districts, and local governments trying to plan for a new kind of demand. The scale is already visible. Research summarized by the Most Policy Initiative, using Lawrence Berkeley and EPA data, estimated that U.S. data centers directly consumed about 17.4 billion gallons of water in 2023. By 2028, that direct annual consumption could rise to between 38 and 73 billion gallons. That does not mean every American household is about to see an AI charge on the water bill. The impact is not spread evenly across the country. Water is local. It comes from specific rivers, aquifers, reservoirs, and municipal systems. A facility built in one county can serve customers across the country, but the cooling demand lands in one place. That is the hidden imbalance. The benefits of AI can be national, even global. The pressure on resources can be local. A data center may support cloud services, business software, AI tools, and new forms of automation used across the economy. But the water it uses may come from the same system serving homes, schools, hospitals, farms, and small businesses nearby. That is where the economic tension begins. The digital economy often looks clean and abstract from a distance. But behind it are physical assets, land, substations, transmission lines, cooling equipment, backup systems, and water access. And as AI workloads become more powerful, the cooling challenge becomes harder to ignore. Modern AI facilities can pack enormous computing power into dense spaces. More computing power means more heat. More heat means more pressure on cooling systems. Cooling is not optional. It is what keeps the machines running. Big technology companies know this. Google's 2025 environmental report said the company replenished 4.5 billion gallons of water in 2024. Google also reported that its freshwater replenishment increased from 18% in 2023 to 64% in 2024. Amazon has reported progress as well. Oz said its global data center water use efficiency reached 0.15 liters per kilowatt-hour of IT load in 2024. That was a 17% improvement from the previous year and a 40% improvement since 2021. Amazon also reported that, in 2024, AWS had 24 data centers using recycled water for cooling, with plans to expand that approach. Those efforts matter. They show that the industry is trying to reduce water intensity and use alternative sources where possible. But efficiency does not always mean total use goes down. A company can use less water for each unit of computing and still use more water overall if the total amount of computing grows quickly enough. Americans have seen this pattern before. A car can become more fuel efficient while total miles driven rise. A home can become more energy efficient while electricity demand keeps growing. A data center can become more water efficient while the AI boom expands the total footprint. That distinction is central to the story. The issue is not whether companies are improving. Many are. The issue is whether those improvements can keep pace with demand, and demand is moving quickly. Cooling also comes with trade-offs. Evaporative cooling can reduce electricity use, but it consumes water. Air cooling can reduce water use, but it may require more electricity. Liquid cooling can help manage dense AI hardware, but it requires different designs and careful implementation. There is no simple setting that removes the cost. Often, the choice is not between impact and no impact. It is between one kind of impact and another. That is why the hidden water cost of AI belongs in an economic story, not just an environmental one. For households, the risk is not simple or immediate. It is not that one AI search directly raises a family's monthly water bill. The more serious issue is what happens when local utilities have to plan for large new industrial demand. If a town needs stronger pipes, more treatment capacity, better pumping systems, or expanded supply planning, that infrastructure has to be paid for. Sometimes the company pays direct costs. Sometimes local governments offer incentives to attract investment. Sometimes the pressure appears more slowly through utility planning, public budgets, or rate structures. For small businesses, water reliability is not abstract. Restaurants, laundromats, farms, manufacturers, and local service companies all depend on systems that may not have been designed for a sudden wave of large data center development. For workers and local governments, the picture is mixed. Data centers can bring construction work, technical jobs, tax revenue, and investment. A community may welcome a facility because it strengthens the local tax base or brings new economic activity. But a project can be economically attractive and still create resource pressure. Both things can be true at the same time. That is why local debates are becoming more detailed. Communities want to know how much water a facility will use, where that water will come from, whether the facility will rely on drinking water, recycled water, or another source. What happens during drought? What happens if more facilities are built nearby? And how much the public will be allowed to know? Investors are asking similar questions. Reuters reported that shareholders have pressed Amazon, Microsoft, and Google for clear disclosure on data center water and power use. That matters because water risk can become financial risk. A project can be delayed. Permits can become harder. Local opposition can grow. A region that looks attractive on paper can become more complicated if the infrastructure cannot keep up. The AI boom depends on speed. Companies want to build fast. Water systems do not move at software speed. Permits take time. Utility planning takes time. Infrastructure upgrades take time. Drought can change priorities. Local politics can shift. And once residents believe a major facility may compete with homes, farms, or small businesses, the project becomes harder to explain. That is the part of AI that is easy to miss. The public sees the product, a chatbot, a search tool, a coding assistant, a new office feature, a promise of productivity. But every digital service runs somewhere. Every model is trained somewhere. Every server has to be cooled somewhere. And that somewhere is not the cloud. It is a town, a county, a watershed, a power grid, a utility district. The next phase of AI may depend as much on infrastructure as innovation, not just chips, not just capital, not just engineers, power, cooling, permits, water. The most realistic future is not one national crisis. It is a patchwork of local pressures and local solutions. Some data centers may shift toward recycled water. Some may use less water-intensive cooling. Some may be built where water stress is lower. Some communities may require stronger disclosure before approving new projects. Some utilities may ask developers to pay more directly for upgrades. And some places may decide the trade-off is not worth it. That is not anti-technology. It is the basic reality of growth. When a new industry expands quickly, it creates opportunity. It also creates demand on systems that already exist. And when those systems are local, the cost is local too. Artificial intelligence may bring real benefits. It may improve productivity, support new businesses, and change how Americans work. But its physical demands will not disappear just because the product feels digital. The question is not whether America should build AI infrastructure. The question is whether it can build it honestly, with clear numbers, with serious local planning, with better disclosure, and with a fair understanding of who benefits, who pays, and who carries the strain. Because the future of AI will not be built only inside computers. It will be built through water permits, utility boards, cooling systems, power plants, and communities that have to live with the consequences. On a screen, AI can feel weightless. Behind the screen, the resources are real. And water may become one of the clearest reminders that even the most advanced technology still depends on the oldest systems we have.